All right, so I'm going to attempt to go through some of the questions that everybody was asking. I'll start off with that, and then I'll kind of go through my own description of what I thought could be improved or what needs to be a little bit better. So let's talk about the questions. So some people were asking, did I get a shift on the fly? They said that they wanted us to break in the vehicle, so they didn't want us to shift on the fly. So because of that, most of the time we just put it in second gear or third gear and then just went from there. We didn't actually get to shift on the fly just yet. There might have been a few people that actually did it, even though they asked us not to. Obviously, I want to preserve my car and I don't want it to break right away, so I listen to them as of right now. So the other question was, how was the visibility? I had great visibility overall, front, side, even in the rear view mirror, it was really good. Obviously, I was wearing a helmet, so it was limiting my visibility a little bit. But other than that, that was the main factor limiting it. How do I like the window nets? Yeah, I think they make the car safer. I think it's a good idea. With that being said, they're a little bit difficult to use for a heavier guy like myself. I constantly had to reach over my left shoulder and try to kind of rattle this little knob into place. They did say they're going to ream it out and make it a little bit easier for us to use. Hopefully that happens soon. Torque on the bottom end. Because we were just braking in the car, I really didn't stomp on it from a stop or anything like that. But definitely from a roll, there's plenty of low end torque. No problem as far as torque at all. It revs so high and so fast that I don't see that being a problem. How does it compare to other cars such as like the Razor Pro R or the new Can-Am? I haven't driven either one of those, so I can't compare them. I haven't previously owned a side-by-side before, but I have driven in and friends Turbo S, and I would say it's definitely faster than a Turbo S, and that's obviously without the speed key or anything like that. I think for most people, it's going to be more power than most people need. Next question is, a few cars broke down or break down? Yeah, a few cars did break down. One of them had a wire on the wiring harness that was rubbing the drive line, and because of that, it caused some electrical issue. That one went out of service. There was another car that had some other type of tuning issue, and then one car hit a rock really, really hard on the transfer case and actually broke the transfer case. So there were a couple cars over the weekend that were out of commission for that weekend. They are going to get fixed, not a big deal for most of the things. And the transfer case, they already know it's a weak point and stuff like that. The light bar, how bright is it? So I was driving a lot in dusty conditions, so if I used the light bar, it just blinded me entirely. So I really didn't get to see how far it penetrates or anything like that. But I mostly use the mirror lights, the side mirror lights, and then the main lights that come built into the car. And that was more than enough light. The main light is super, super bright. The main light bar on the top, it's a really, really good quality light. I could totally tell just by how it illuminates when there wasn't a lot of dust. So I'm really looking forward to that in a better setting. Was there any chatter or rattles? I did hear some slight suspension chatter. I probably the bypasses and the shocks or something of that nature, maybe ball joints or something like that. Tie rod ends, maybe, just kind of squeaking. But I really didn't hear a lot of chatter from the engine. Somebody asked if I heard turbo blow off noise or anything like that. Really couldn't hear any of that. The engine has a real distinct kind of high pitched sound as it is. So because of that, I couldn't really hear anything else. Plus, I was wearing a helmet, so there might have been other people that better heard things, but I didn't really notice anything. What was my impression of the digital dash? As far as the digital dash, it's really cool. There's a lot of features that you can do. There's even an app where you could sync it to your phone, so you could actually watch a video on your dash on, if you sync it from your phone. With that being said, I did have a couple issues with that. One of the issues that I had is it froze up the screen, as well as some of the gauges were freezing up for just a second there, and then it would kind of restart itself. But I think their overall user interface is going to need a little bit of an update. It's really cool. It's good to flip through the screens. But as far as that, there's just odd things in there. Like, instead of just being a settings page where you could scan the QR code to link your phone, it's on like 2 or 3 pages, and it just takes up a lot of space on there. It needs to be overall redone, as well as the app for the phone. It's obviously a Chinese company built the app, and it's very hard to understand what you're trying to do or how it works. In my opinion, what they should have done is they should have made the dash mirror to your phone instead of your phone mirror to the dash, so that if you wanted to look at a setting while you're outside the car, let's say somebody's revving your car and you want to see what's going on in your car to diagnose something, maybe you're having a belt temp issue or something like that, you could be walking around with your phone around the car and be able to diagnose that while you're looking around, instead of having to be inside the car looking at your dash. So I think that would have been a cool idea. Maybe that's something they could incorporate in the future. Did we get to take our car home? That's what a lot of people ask. So unfortunately, we did not get to take our car home. They told us this from the beginning, that we were not going to be able to take our car home. The reason is because they're going to do the first service. They're also going to look for imperfections. They're going to download all the data from the car's ECU. So if there was any issues, that they could tune them out in future, cars to come, as well as fix our cars. So because of that, we did not get to take our cars home. They told us maybe a couple weeks, 2-3 weeks, somewhere around there. That's what the goal is. And as of right now, they're not swapping out the transmission transfer case as of yet. We may be able to take them home with the current one that's on there, but they are eventually going to switch that out for us. I think that's all I got for customers' questions as of right now. But I could kind of go into my review of issues and stuff like that. So the main thing is I have a small list of minor issues. The first one is going to be tuning. So with the tuning of the vehicles, my car on a cold start just would not even kind of idle. So their tuning tech was there on site with his laptop. He basically reprogrammed the ECU so that it would idle just a hair higher, and because of that, it ran perfectly fine. There was a couple other fault codes that were tripping. They basically set a lot of limits for this ride for us, and because of that, we were getting fault codes every now and then, like check engine light. It didn't cause any problems with the car, but it was just kind of annoying. Every time I let off the gas, it would give a fault code, for some low voltage variation or something of that nature, the guy told me. So that was kind of annoying. Hopefully they get it all tuned out and we shouldn't have no more problems as soon as we get our cars. The accessories required for the vehicle dash. Oh, okay. So actually, in order for you to run your like LED whip lights, or to run your chase bar or stereo system, you actually have to have the digital dash on the car active. So you basically are turning on like the ignition for the car, like almost as if you're turning your car to accessories, and everything comes on the car pretty much. So because that happens, and you don't have a way to isolate only what you want on, meaning I can't turn off the digital dash and only have on my LED whip lights. Because of that, nobody could use them because we were all worried about our cars dying because they weren't isolated. So I really wish they would have isolated that. Obviously, I can do that myself. It's not a problem. That's what I plan on doing. Some of the stickers on the car were not sticking very well. Before I got my car, I made that an issue, a point to them. Hey man, if we get dirt under these stickers, they're never going to stick again. So we went through with a heat gun and we got a lot of them. There are a few that are starting to peel already. I'm not sure if it's the glue or the temperature at which they were applied or anything like that. But the other thing is on the foam inserts on the car, they have a noise deadening package that has like almost like the C-deck foam on the interior panels of the car, and even some of those were starting to peel off. So, I mean, I've only ridden it for, 48 hours and already things are starting to peel off. It's a little discouraging. It's not a major issue or anything like that, but it's definitely kind of bugs me. Unrelated to the car, but I also did have a whip light actually fail on me already, so maybe the whip lights are not the best quality whip lights, or it could have just been a connector came unplugged, but the connectors, when I checked them, they're pretty firm connectors. They shouldn't just rattle out on those ones. So I'm not sure what happened there. I didn't have time to troubleshoot it because we came in at like 11:30 on Sunday night. The car's digital dash, I was kind of going into that with the customer questions. It needs some help. It did freeze up on me 2 or 3 times while I was driving. Also, anytime you try to link it to your phone, it works kind of good on iOS, Apple phones, but it didn't work on my Android well. That really bugged me just because I'm a tech guy and I love the tech type stuff. And so I can't even really use it to its full potential. And then the whole app was like in Chinese and stuff like that. It wasn't like a speed specific app. I would really love to be involved in that if they want to let me get involved in making that app. That's what I do. I do websites and apps and stuff like that. I would love to be involved in designing the app for them to make that a cool feature. So I hope that we get somewhere with that. Okay, another small issue in the center of the roof. There's a center, post that basically goes across, a center welded bar or pipe, I guess, tubing. But in the center, there's about an inch gap from your roof lid. And as you're going maybe about 60, 65, the roof kind of flexes and bends and goes up and down, but there's nothing stopping it from kind of going up and down right there. I would love to see like some type of foam block or something of that nature that holds the roof and supports it in the center, because there's only, I think there's six screws on the outer edges that hold it on, 6 or 8. But there's none in the middle. So I would really like to see 2 or 3 supports, at least that hold it from bouncing or something like that. I was telling you about the app to sync to the phone. I would really like to see it in reverse. Instead of you putting a video from your phone onto your dash, I would really like to see the dash go onto your phone. So hopefully they can make that happen in the future. If not, it's not a major issue. Okay, so here's some major issues that I did have during my ride. The very first day, we didn't get a whole lot of riding. We had a couple little issues that kind of snagged us up. We left really, really late in the day. That was on Saturday. But once we did get riding, I felt like my steering was pretty good. A lot of people kind of complained about their steering. Well, the second day, I totally know what they were talking about. So I was even driving on the paved road, so I wasn't even on the dirt or on uneven surface or anything. And I would kind of turn the wheel to the right, a pretty sharp turn to the right. And basically I would get a quick feedback of going the opposite direction of the way of the turn. And I wasn't sure if that was like an alignment issue or what it was, but I noticed it was like a real quick snap opposite direction of the turn. Basically what they were kind of explaining is that it's something in the hydraulics of the power steering that are basically reversing the valves for a split second, and it could be because they're using hydraulic fluid instead of power steering fluid. It could be a lot of things they were saying. They're still troubleshooting that. As far as I know, they don't have a solution as of right now. The other thing that I did see is I saw one of the drivers go over some areas where he shouldn't have went and hit a rock really hard, and he cracked the transfer case. These cars have plastic skid plates if you do not purchase the metal skids. Because I saw this on somebody's very first or second ride, out in this car, and just to crack something that important, it almost makes me feel like the skid plate should be required on the car. Like they should build it with a strong enough skid plate to protect from the majority of things. Now, obviously, if you're going on, to the Baja, 500 or something like that, obviously, yes, you're going to need a different type of skid or something like that. But I would have liked to see a little bit stronger of a skid plate. The brakes. This was my biggest concern from the beginning. They told me that the brakes needed to wear in a little bit, and when we were first driving, to be a little careful. We drove it for about 150 miles, 175 miles, something like that, by the time we came back, and it's still, the brakes didn't get much better. So it makes me think that maybe the brakes are undersized for that car. I kind of compare it to like how a car stops on the road. A regular car would stop way faster than a Speed UTV on the road. And that kind of concerns me a little bit. In the dirt, it didn't seem as much of an issue because obviously I could lock up the wheels and kind of slide it a little bit if I had to stop a little sooner. But on the road, with all the grip in the world, I just couldn't get it to like lock up the brakes. I couldn't get it to really stop hard. I'm not sure if that's just maybe a problem with my car, if that's a problem with everybody's, but that did concern me a little bit. Those are really the only issues that I have. I mean, but I do want to tell you all the good things about the car. First of all, the car is extremely well built. The A-arms, the frame, everything is extremely well built. The welds, very, very nice welds. So people that were concerned about those welds in pre-production cars, it shouldn't be an issue anymore. The engine should be enough power for most people without the speed key, especially on dirt. I believe once you get into the sand and stuff that requires a little bit more power, you're going to want to use that speed key, as will I. I think that's going to be a nice addition to give you that little extra. The suspension was really great. As far as I know, it's the only side-by-side that uses 3.5 shocks all the way around, and I definitely noticed it. It definitely felt smooth, firm. I did bottom out a couple times when I had 4 people in my car, but they did tell us that the springs were going to sag a little bit and that we would have to readjust them. So they are going to readjust them prior to me taking my car home. So I think that's good that we got this little drive to be able to, have the spring sag a little bit so that they could adjust them. But the suspension was amazing. It felt a lot like driving a trophy truck, or like, something real tight, like a sports car. The steering was really, really tight. The acceleration really snappy. It felt really good overall. I've driven, some Razors and stuff like that, and they kind of have that slow kind of lag, and you kind of feel it go back, and this one's just snappy, like instant back in your seat and stuff like that. So I really like that. I really like the tech. When all the bugs are going to be worked out, I think the tech that's in that car is going to be amazing. It just comes, with enough tech in the off-road industry that you don't really need to add anything else, other than maybe like a GPS or something like that if you were racing or something of that nature. But I mean, it comes with enough tech that it really makes me feel good. The whole system that I added as far as the entertainment, the air pumpers, I mean, all that stuff, all the accessories that you can add really give it a level of being a higher end car. And that's obviously your discretion, what you want to add as far as accessories, but I really felt like it felt like a high-end car. I like having the real style of truck bed. I seen one of the guys there actually put a full-size ice chest into the bed of his truck, and it was just pretty cool. They strapped it down, and it was pretty cool to have a full-size ice chest just easily in there. And he still had tons of room to spare. He probably could have put 2 ice chests of that size, and that was pretty cool to be able to do that with an off-road car and go off-roading and actually use it that way. The tires and wheels are really, really nice. I really liked them on the dirt, on the street. They tracked really well. They also told me that the wheels are actually going to have a face that's changeable. So I guess the wheels are, I don't know, 2-part, 3-part, whatever you want to call them, wheels. But basically the front face of it, kind of like the bead lock, is actually the full front face of it. And that actually can come off and be changed. So I'm actually eager in the future, if you ever scratch up your wheels or anything like that, you can actually just buy new faces for them. But also, as they come out with new styles, they'll just be interchangeable without buying all new wheels. So I think that's going to cut down on costs for making your car look a lot different in the future, without without spending a ton of money. I really like how they made all your accessories plug and play. So you could buy any of the accessories from them, and obviously, yes, it's from them. But they will just connect in with an easy harness that goes right to that spot. You already have power. You already have your switches already ran for that. There's not a lot of cars that I know of that are like that, where you could just plug and play and literally buy your accessory, be in the middle of the desert, and connect it in a matter of minutes. So that was really cool. So even people that had slight issues, it was normally just a quick connect issue, and let's swap it out real quick. So it was really cool. Also, if you break something, if you hardwire something in, it definitely takes a little bit to do that, to swap it out on a different type of car. But these type of cars will be real quick. Turning, the turning was really tight and nice. Like I said, it felt like a sports car or a race car or something of that nature. And I think that's pretty much all I got for my review. I'm going to have some videos posted up. Be sure to watch those as well.